Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today we are going to make these marvelous and quick crochet gift card holder stockings. If you are looking for fun and fast stash-busting Christmas crochet projects, these patterns are for you. Of course, all of these different tutorials and patterns are available on my channel and website. I'll link them down below as they become available, as well as a playlist of all my Christmas crochet projects up in the cards and in the comments. These crochet gift card holder stockings are the perfect size for gift cards. They just slide in, and of course they work great for money or scratch tickets as well. They work up super quick and only use tiny bits of yarn. Each one of these is only 16 grams of a 4-weight worsted acrylic yarn. If you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. And you don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there beside you. To make these easy crochet gift card holder stockings, you'll need about 16 grams of yarn, any color combination that you like. I'm using a 4 worsted weight acrylic and a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You will also need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. So let's get started. Start by making a slip knot any which way you normally do, shrinking that down and popping it onto your hook. You can do a magic ring if you prefer, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to slip stitch right into that very first chain we made right there to form a ring. So pop your hook in, and we want to make a little U shape underneath our hook, and we want to also hold our tail down along with that U shape. You want to make this little shape right here. So hold that open with your finger and thumb and slip stitch to form a ring, still holding it open, don't let go, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This counts as our first double crochet. Wrap your yarn and 1 more double crochet into the center of that ring. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into the center of your ring. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into the center of your ring, taking care to go over your tail. 1 and 2. Chain 2. Wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into the center of your ring. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1 and 2. If you've run out of room, just grab your ring and slide your stitches back to give yourself some more room. We want all of our stitches to be laying nice and flat along our ring. So wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into the center of the ring, still going over our tail. There's 1 and 2. Chain 2. Slide those stitches back and 2 more double crochets into the center of our ring. 1 and 2. So just check that you have 6 pairs of double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and chain 2. 1 and 2. Into the top of our chain 3, right there, pop your hook in and slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down. Now just flip that over. If you've managed to go over your tail the whole way, you can just snip off that center tail as well. And that finishes round 1. Have you subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit this button under this video right now so you don't miss out on any more fun stuff just like this. To start round 2, grab your next color of yarn. Pop your hook into any space, so in between any pair, just not where our tail is. So I'm just popping my hook in right there. Loop of your new color yarn on your hook. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Hold your tail along the top of your work, just so we can work over it in that corner space, and chain 2. 1 and 2. If you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. This will count as our first double crochet. Wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into that same corner space, working over your tail. 1 and 2. Now drop your tail, we'll have to sew that in later with a needle, into the next space, 3 treble crochets. So wrap your yarn and into that space, 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, and here is number 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Wrap your yarn, slide those stitches back to give yourself some more room, and 3 double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. That's also where I have joined my yarn. So wherever you have joined your yarn, just bring that tail forward and just hold it along your work. So we can just work over it a little bit. It just helps sew in your tails later. Just a little bit of added security. So wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets into the next corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Wrap your yarn twice, slide those stitches back to give yourself some more room. 3 treble crochets into the same space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Slide your stitches back, 3 double crochets into the same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do the same thing into each of the next 2 spaces. We're going to do like a granny square corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into each of the next 2 spaces. I'm going to turn them into corners. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. And same thing into the last space. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, slide those stitches back, and 3 double crochets into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're back to where we started. So now we're going to slide our first stitches forward, get them out of the way a little bit. So we have some empty space in that same spot. I'm going to do 3 double crochets into that same space where we started. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain to join. We're going to get 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook, right there. So just pop your hook in and slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So now this is going to be the top of our stocking. Our treble crochets are right here. Let's just put a little stitch marker in the center spot right there just to mark that this is the top of our stocking. If you can recognize your treble crochets and see the difference, then you don't really have to put the stitch marker, but that does help if you are new. And that finishes round 2. To start round 3, grab a loop of your next color of yarn and pop your hook into this very first corner space at the top of our stocking. So pop your hook in, loop of new color on your hook long enough to sew in with a needle later, bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the top of your work, and chain 2, 1 and 2. If you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. Wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into that very same space. 1 and 2. Now drop your tail and you can pop out this stitch marker if it is in your way. And into this next space, 4 double crochets. We're adding a double crochet here. 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the next corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Slide those stitches back to give yourself some more room in that same corner space. And wrap your yarn twice. We're going to do 3 treble crochets into this corner space. 3 treble crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Into this space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next corner space, we're going to do something called a bend. So in your head, there's going to be corners, which are up here. There's going to be sides, and now we're going to turn these ones at the bottom into a bend. So bends are just 4 double crochets. So 4 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, a bend. So 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and into the next space, a bend, 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I'm going too fast, just pause the video and get caught up and then press play again. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, a bend. So that's where we joined our yarn. So just fold that tail forward so we can work over it a little bit and make 4 double crochets into that space going over your tail. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're back up to our next space is where we started. So we're going to do 3 treble crochets into that same space. So slide your stitches forward to give yourself a bit more room. We want all of our stitches lying nice and flat. So wrap your yarn twice and 3 treble crochets into that same space where we started. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of our chain to join. Right there, we want 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook. So just slide your hook in and slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So this is the shape we have now. We still have our top. It's kind of like a pocket, like a jeans pocket. So there's our corners up at the top and our 4 bends are down here. So flip it over and sew in all those tails. And that finishes round 3. To start round 4, grab a loop of your next color yarn. Put your hook into that corner space at the top of your work, in between our trebles and our double crochets. Loop of your new color on your hook. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail just holding along the top edge of your work and chain 2. 1 and 2. This counts as your first double crochet. If you joined your yarn in a different way, chain 3. Wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into that same corner space. 1 and 2. Into the next space along the top, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And in between those double crochets, so 2 double crochets on each side, we are going to do 3 double crochets right into the middle of those stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space right here, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1, 2, And into the same corner space, 3 treble crochets. 1. You can slide your stitches back if you need more room. 2 and 3. Into each of the next 2 spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. So into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now into our bend. We're in our bend section now. So we're just going to go right into the middle of those double crochets in between, so 2 double crochets on each side, just into the space. Wrap your yarn, and we're going to do another 4 double crochets. So each bend gets a bend. We just put it right in the middle, in between those double crochets. So there's 2, 3, and 4. So every bend gets a new bend, and sides, 3 double crochets into each. So 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. And into the bend, we just find that center spot, 2 double crochets on each side, and we do 4 double crochets. So each bend gets a bend. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into each space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the bend, just separate it with your fingers. Find that center spot, 2 double crochets on each side, and 4 double crochets right into that space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into each space along the side, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. When you get to that bend, find that center space, just wiggle your finger in there, 2 double crochets on each side, and we're going to do 4 double crochets right into that center of those stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into each of the spaces, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And now we are back where we started, so we can slide those beginning stitches forward, giving us some more space in that same corner spot. Wrap your yarn twice, 3 treble crochets into the corner space where we started. There's 1, 2, and 3. And don't worry if it's all kind of wobbly and weird. Mine is too. And now to join, we're going to join a little bit different because we want our join to stay along this edge. So now just look for the top of our chain 2. Right there. We want to have 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook. Wrap your yarn into the top of your chain, 2 strands on your hook, 1 double crochet to join, 1 double crochet. And that leaves us right along our edge. That's where we want our tail to be. And that finishes round 4. We are ready to join. To join up our stocking, we're going to start with a chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 14, 15. We want to fold that under our other side, like this. There's our cute boot, our little stocking already. And now we have to find our spaces. So finger into the space on the lower half and through the top half. Now we just want to go into that space and into the opposite space. And we want to slip stitch to start. So just slip stitch to get those held together. And chain 1. So there is our hanging tag started. Just make sure it's not twisted. If you did it all in one sitting, it should just be great just how we did it. But if you're moving around or came back later, just make sure it's not twisted. Now into that same corner space, 1 single crochet. So through both of those sides, I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Just like that. And now we are ready to start joining. We're going to join with single crochet, line up our next set. So put your finger through the bottom half and through the top half. Kind of pinch those and you can see your stitches line up all along here. You want to make sure you have 2 strands of each stitch on your hook. So you'll have 4 strands for each of these single crochets that we're making. So into the next stitch of both halves, 1 single crochet and a single crochet into the next stitch. I'm just lining them up by the spaces here. So just keep your finger or thumb in those spaces and that'll really help your stitches line up all the way down. So I finished that set. So there's 3 single crochets we're going to make per set along the sides. 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches. Jump to the next set. Just hold that with your finger and thumb. Just keep them together so our stitches stay parallel to each other. 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches until we get to our first bend, and 1 single crochet into the next pair. Chain 1 to get around our heel a little bit, and now 1 single crochet into each stitch, each pair of stitches. After you finish a set, just pop your finger into the next pair, matching up those holes, and keep working along. 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches, all along our sides. 1, 2, and 3. Now when we get to our toe, we're going to do 2 of those stitches and then a chain 1 just to kind of help ease around that corner. So 1 single crochet into the first pair, 1 single crochet into the second pair, chain 1, 1 single crochet into each of these stitches to finish off our join. So we just have to put a single crochet at the heel and at the toe. The rest we're just lining up our stitches. When we get to our toe, this is our very last one we're going to work into. This stitch right here. We're not working into that one at the very, very top. So in our last single crochet is going to be right here. So 1 single crochet and chain 1. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail so we can sew it in with a needle. Pull your hook up and snug that down. And now we're going to use our yarn to make a really nice toe. So thread your needle and just kind of see how you want your toe to be. I'm just going to go straight up into that stitch, all the way up along the side. Sharp tip needles really do help for this. And then just shrink it up until you like how that toe looks. I don't want my toes too pointy. I want my boot kind of to be nice and cute. So I like how that is. Now I'm just going to work my yarn back and forth underneath these stitches right here. Just a couple times. And there's your amazing crochet gift card holder stocking. That was super quick and easy, right? So just sew in that other tail and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video right there, and stay hooked.